Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about this amazing ingredient. This ingredient looks like a berry but is actually a fruit. This fruit is called as the Indian hawk plum. Apart from this fruit is also called as ambada, ambari, ambado, amada, bringi phal, so on and so forth. It's also called as wild mangoes. I'm not sure why it's called wild mangoes because it's nowhere closely related to mangoes. It's probably because it is sour and that's why it gets its name. I came across this fruit when I was 8. I'd gone to my hometown to visit my uncle and he took me across his fields to see his plants and see the trees growing and see the fields. That's when we came across this huge tree with these tiny berries. He asked me to collect these fruits so that my aunt could make a gravy out of it. I spent a lot of time collecting those fruits. But being a curious child, I wanted to taste it. I wanted to try what it was like. So I quickly picked up one fruit and put it in my mouth. Gosh, I still remember the taste. It was sour. And because of that experience, I chose not to have them. But as mom started experimenting with the ingredients and she started trying out new recipes, I started liking this fruit. You can make chutneys, pickles, you can add them to your gravies, dals, prawn curries, so on and so forth. So there are n number of recipes that you can try out with this ingredient. Today, we are going to try out a simple, quick recipe with this seasonal ingredient. So let's go check out the recipe. So what you first need is around 7 to 8 Ambadi. Now, if you see, there are some green ones and yellow ones here with me. I actually bought them a few days back. So some of them have turned ripe and that's why they are yellow. So you basically need to buy the ones that are pitch green. That's the best ones to buy. The next ingredient is coconut. This is half cup of freshly grated coconut. We need 2 green chilies. These are mildly spicy chilies. If you're using a spicier one, just use 1 chili. Lastly, you need some salt and some jaggery to taste. I have used coconut jaggery. You can use any regular variety of jaggery. The proportion of salt and jaggery totally depends from as per your taste, as per your choice. So you can change that proportion. Let's begin with the procedure. Take the ambadi and peel it. Ensure that the peel is very thinly removed. So as you see, what I'm doing is removing the peel. The peel is super thin. So if you lightly take your peeler and just run it through, take a sharp peeler and ensure that you're removing a very thin peel. If you're good with a knife, use a knife to do the same. Also, while buying the ambadis, you might see that, there might be parts in it which are slightly damaged. You can remove it out with a knife. That's how you're going to be peeling off the green ones. Step by step, you just peel off each one of them. Same way, you take another one and you peel it off. See, this one has a slightly thicker peel. So you go slow with it. Make sure you're not wasting too much of it. Because if you remove out a thick peel, you're losing out on the flesh part of the fruit. That's not something you really want because many of these fruits have a thick fibrous center. So the fleshy pulp that is there is hardly anything. So you don't want to waste a lot of this. Keep going slow. Be a little patient. There you go. I peeled up the second one too. I have this one which is slightly on the yellow side. Now, if you see, if it's slightly ripened, it's going to be a little more tender, so you have to be a little more careful. The green ones that you use are normally tough skinned, and that is why you can apply pressure. But the yellow ones, or the ones that have started turning yellow, are slightly tender. That is why you have to be extra careful when you're peeling them, because there is a likely chance that you'll peel out a lot of its flesh too. So go slow, be patient while you're doing this. It requires a little focus. That's about it. So now that we have our ambadis peeled and cleaned nicely, what we are going to do is steam them up in the pressure cooker. Give it a nice 2 whistles so that it cooks properly. Keep minimal water while you steam it. This is how it looks after it's steamed. What you now need to do is take out the fleshier part of the fruit. If you see, we remove the thin peel of the fruit. Now, this is how it looks. But if you see, this fruit has a fibrous center which cannot really be used. So what you now need to do is just scrape off the fleshier part from the fruit. And that is what you're going to use in the main recipe. So when the fruit is raw, it's green. This fibrous part is hard and it really cannot be used. As the fruit ripens, it tends to get softer, and then you can use pretty much the whole fruit. This is how you are going to remove out the pulp that is going to be used in the chutney or the raita. Just scrape through it nicely. Let all the fleshier part come out. You've got to collect every little bit of it. By the way, do you know these fruits are actually a very good source of vitamin C, vitamin B1, B2, and of course there's a lot of fiber too, and many other nutrients in it. It's also available during the rains. So while you're going to the local market now and you see this fruit, make sure you buy it once at least and give it a try. Also, when you're steaming the fruit, you tend to use water while steaming. Make sure you use minimal water, as I had mentioned earlier. And if you have the water remaining there, don't throw it off. Now, when I remove the pulp and I put it to grind, you anyways add a little water to the chutney to give it a paste-like texture. You can actually use that water instead, so it becomes thin. You can similarly use the same water if it's in excess, you can use it in your dal or any other recipe per se. So if you see, out of all these 7-8 fruits that we took, there's hardly enough pulp. But don't worry, it has enough sourness to give you the sour taste for your chutney. This was a ripe fruit. So if you see, the seed is very tiny in this. The center part, I'm sorry. I had very little water left in the cooker while I steamed it. So what I did is took it out in the bowl, and I'm going to be using that water while making the chutney. Let's go to the grinding part. You need a small mixie. Add in the coconut first. Then goes the green chili. Then you add in the pulp. Add in jaggery as per taste. Add in some salt. Add in the remaining water that you got in the cooker and pour just enough water so that it grinds properly. You won't need extra water in case you have used a good amount of water to steam the ambada. So adjust the water as per requirement. There you go. That's how your chutney looks. Now all you need to do is nicely plate it in a bowl or in a plate, however you like. You can easily serve it with your simple lunch. You can have it with your dosa. You can have it as a dip. It tastes absolutely delicious. One of my favorite combo is just having this with something that we call as pays. Pays is nothing but a kanji kind of a meal that's usually made in Konkan. It's a rice-based dish and you serve the chutney with the pays. That's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed the dish. Do try it out and let me know your feedback. If you haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, please do subscribe.